Hey y'all, Ramdino here, coming at you again for another Appalachian Trail community news and THru HIker update. We got tons of stuff going on out there. Hard to believe. Every week there's something new that's going on the trail, but it happens, and just as surely as Nobos move north and Sobos move south. So let's go ahead and get on. So we got a couple of 2020 THru HIkers that we want to talk about. One of those is one that was actually I had in the 2021 category, but I didn't realize that she is actually was finishing up her 2020 hike, and that is She's the One, and she is somewhere north of Pearisburg. And then our other 2020 hiker we got out there is Trail Marshal, and he has made it past Harriman State Park. He's north of the Hudson River, and he is got somewhere around less than 785 miles left on his through hike. So that's awesome to hear. Can't wait to see that finish. 2021 hikers. Well, Penelope Percival, she stepped off from Amicalola State Park, Amicalola Falls State Park, and she had quite a bit of difficulty on her way to Neal's Gap, and that was because she has asthma. Now, certainly people with asthma can hike the trail, but you better bring your inhaler, and I don't think that she did bring her inhaler. So I'm positive she didn't, because she had to get Ron with the who's a trail angel and offers a shuttle service up there. He had to go get her one, and she also had to borrow an inhaler. So a lot of that is probably due to the pollen that's so prolific out there, particularly down here in the south right now. And then also because she comes from the flatlands, so she is not used to the puds that they have down in Georgia. And so she is taking some time to get to Neal's Gap, but she is getting there slowly but surely. But thankfully, folks out there, as the trail community always comes through, has been helping her out. And she said that it's been an incredible act of kindness that has allowed her to keep going. So that's awesome. Awful proud of the trail community. Appreciate y'all doing that. Moose Liver, she is around Pearisburg and heading north. Mr. Freeze, he will cross over the halfway point of the Appalachian Trail this Monday. So that is awesome. And by halfway point, I mean the true halfway point, which is up in Pennsylvania, somewhere around Caledonia State Park, I believe, but it's certainly well north of Harper's Ferry. The Blazing Baker, she is through with the shanties, and she reports that Loft Mountain Wayside is closed. Lewis Campground is closed as well, but Big Meadows Campground and the general store there are open. So appreciate that report there, Blazing Baker. Hawk, he is north of Delville. Jason, he changed his name, and rightfully so. He changed it to Jason from Vazolicious. Can't even hardly say that. That's like 4 syllables. So I think there's a unspoken word out there on the trail that if it's more than 3 syllables, you probably need to change the trail name, or somebody will change it for you. Drifter and Sherpa, they made it to Atkins and said they have only seen a handful of hikers since Damascus 5 days ago. And the heat map here kind of shows that the hikers, where the hikers are. Now, this heat map was created some years ago, and it's based off actual trail journals. So it also not only includes through hikers, but it also includes section hikers, day hikers, whoever has signed that trail journal. But it's been fairly accurate over the years for where the bubble is on the trail. I think it's a little behind now, and that's only because that, over the years, people have kind of been moving their start date up more and more, in the winter, getting started earlier, trying to avoid the bubble. And so now the bubble is kind of shifted a little earlier. So I think right now the bubble is somewhere between, the leading edge of the bubble is somewhere between, I would say, the Smokies and actually north of Grayson Highlands, because I've been hearing a lot of people around Pearisburg, a lot of people through the Highlands, a lot of people in Damascus area, but certainly we still got people that even this past week have just been started. So the bubble is strung out all the way back to Springer. However, that is going to change, and we'll be having few and few people starting now that April is here. Hopeful and BG got started at Amicalola Falls State Park, and they should be at Neal's any day. Huck was here, made it to North Carolina, and he says that he has been having such fun hiking out here on his first through hike, and he's really enjoyed making videos on YouTube. So he says he's loving every minute of it, rain or shine. So with that kind of attitude, he is surely going to make it all the way to Katahdin. Country Boy and Hogman, they are done with the Smoky Mountains. Skidmark and Outdoor Fresh, they are halfway done with the Smoky Mountains. Subman and Suds, they are past the quarter-way mark of the Appalachian Trail, so congratulations to them. Trail Light and Speed Bump, they are halfway done with the Smokies. Trimmer, he is somewhere around the 400-mile mark, and Trimmer, as you may recall, has Parkinson's. And Trimmer was actually featured on the NBC Today show this morning on Sunday. And so they did today, apparently this month is Parkinson's Awareness Month. I wasn't aware of that, now I am. But he was featured there on that, and they did a pretty good little discussion with him, and it was really good. So I'd encourage you to go there to the NBC Today show for this Sunday and check that out. That's this Sunday, would be April 11th. Dirty Doss is headed into Grayson Highlands. Freight train is out of the Smokies and past Max Patch, and he was the first one to report to me the bear incident they had at the Cosby Knob Shelter there in the Great Smoky Mountains. So Cosby Knob Shelter, we'll talk about that in a minute, but it is closed, and he indicated to me that the bear went into an occupied tent, had not heard that, and that is not listed to my knowledge on the ATC, but he said it went into an occupied tent and took a backpack. The bear was chased off by hikers, and the backpack was recovered, but it was damaged. So the rangers got word at 5 p.m. on Thursday, and they had a ranger there on site by 9:15 p.m. So that's getting in dark. They posted closed signs and instructed all the tenters to everybody move into the shelter and shelter for the night. So here's a photo of what it looked like once everybody moved in there. And they also placed game cameras and said there would be an active search for the bear. So they moved everybody in. So I guess a bear coming in that's active and hostile like that, or aggressive, that trumps COVID 6 feet of separation. So don't quite think they had that there in the shelter that night. However, everybody was okay, I'm sure. So hopefully they'll be able to relocate that bear. You know, one of the things about bears are they're really not going to go into a tent or go after a pack so much unless that pack smells like food. So either somebody didn't store their food, or their toothpaste, or the deodorant, or whatever they had, something smelled. They could have, actually could have where they dropped food in their pack, or maybe they left a bag of Gorp in a side pouch or something. But in any case, make sure that you've got all that stuff out of your pack, and where you've got bear cables, and you do mostly in the Smokies, then go ahead and hang your pack there as well, and to get all that stuff out of your tent, because that is a bad thing when bears come in the tent. That's very aggressive, and they run the risk of something like that, of the bear actually being put down. So don't be that person that actually killed that bear. But make sure you got everything, all your smelly stuff, hung up somewhere out of the way, and let's make sure we're doing our part to save the bears. Cephas and Shades, they started this week, and they made it to Neal Gap, and they are probably on their way to Dix Creek by now. Tex made it to Irwin and says that the private rooms and the bunks in Irwin are sold out. So that was right before we had some bad weather coming in, but also it speaks to the fact that we got the bubble moving through there. And so if there's going to be bad weather and you're going to want to get off the trail because of bad weather, then you probably need to go ahead and make reservations ahead of time. Traveling Beat left Marion, Virginia, and is headed north to Bland. He said that the bridge removed from the trail at Dickey Gap Bypass, which is at the mile 517, Nobo mile 517, just north of Mount Rogers. Of course, the bridge is still gone, but he says so long as it hasn't rained a lot lately, then that area there's no need to reroute, because the stream is very passable with low to moderate water levels. And I had also heard that there were stepping stones there that you could get across as well. So you may not even have to roll up your pants or take off your trail runners to get across there. Traveling Beat also said that the shower and water at the partnership shelter is turned off, but water is available at the Mount Rogers Visitor Center, which is very close nearby. nearby, and he has a YouTube channel. He's been updating some of that information too, so check him out there. That's Traveling Beat. RV is past Franklin and on the way to the Knock, and Runway has had absolutely no side effects from the first Moderna COVID vaccine that she got in Irwin, and she said she did have a little bit of a sore arm, but that's it. So she is north of Irwin. Crazy Squirrel got started at Amicalola Falls State Park. Sloth has made it to Irwin, continuing north. Scatterbrain finished Grayson Highlands, and Luscious, Just Jim, and Nemo, they are in the Smokies. Double Take and Colonel are in the Smokies, and they recommended that folks that are coming, into Fontana, we had talked about that the marina there possibly had resupply. They kind of indicated that folks maybe want to go ahead and, if there's you're in a big group, is mailing stuff forward, because they didn't find enough resupply there at the marina to, for a big group to resupply. Although I did hear from a pair that came through there that they had a fairly decent resupply. So, you just have to take that information for what it's worth. I'm sure it's a moving target depending on the supplies they have. Aquaman, he made it to Big Bald and is heading to Irwin. Not so much made it to Maryland. Papa Group, he made it to Damascus. Silver has made it to the Roan Mountain Highlands, and she will be through North Carolina for good once she passes that sign at Doll Flats real soon here. The Hiking Hobbit is almost to North Carolina, but had to get off to nurse a knee injury. Should be getting back on in just a few days. Samantha Gillis has made it to Neils and is on the way to Dix Creek. Orange and Grateful, they are somewhere around Parisburg, Virginia. Michelle from Macrone's Way YouTube channel started her flip-flop at Front Royal, Virginia. Buzz and Woody, who are our calendar year Triple Crown guys, they had gotten off the AT and got over on the CDT while the weather was getting bad, and they were here during the winter and they were doing a lot of post holing, slowing them down a lot, and so they wanted to get rid of some of that winter weight, jumped over on the CDT, and now they have jumped back over on the AT. Luna and the Wandering Wolf Pack, they are around Irwin. Wagner von Wonderweg, he has made it on trail at Springer, and he is on his way to Neil's Gap. Dark Web Hiker, he is out of the Smoky Mountains, and BFG is in the Smokies and sends this greeting with the great views. So check out those views from the Smokies behind him on such a clear day. Talk to me here, BFG.
Hey, Ramdino. This is the BFG coming at you from Shuckstack Mountain in the Great Smoky Mountain National Park. I started this morning in the Smokies, and it is beautiful. Hey, there's been several people on the trail. Not too busy, but I've probably been passed by maybe 8 people, something like that, in the last 4 miles. I hope you have a blessed day, because I am. See you later.
That's awesome. So glad everybody's doing good out there. Those that are not, glad you're healing up. Going to look forward to seeing you back out there on the trail. One of the things is that some folks have gotten off trail. Einstein got off trail due to work, and Lufa got back off trail due to some knees. She had to get off due to some knee issues. She got back on after rehabbing her knees, and apparently that was not rehab long enough, so she has gone back home, and hopefully will be back out next year after she's had more time to do that. So people are still continuing to register their thru hike with the ATC. This week we are up by 14 Nobos to 2,794. Had a few flip-floppers added up to 179, and our Sobo count stands at 178. So that is a total of 3,151 hikers that have registered through the ATC. And then folks that have signed our book down at Amicalola Falls State Park, we went from 1,593 last week to 1,781 this week. So that is almost a difference of 200 folks. So divide that by 7 days in a week by 200. So somewhere around 25-ish people starting a day on their thru hike. So those again will start going down from here on out. As you can see here, less and less people are registered in April, and of course in May we don't have a lot of registration for people starting because that's getting a little late to be starting a pure Nobo. And then folks have been sending me pictures of the book down there. greatly appreciate that. And I've been checking on the pack weights, which is what I'm really interested in. And the pack weights, I've seen some as high as in the 40s, and I saw one this past week with this down in 17.1. So don't know if that includes food and fuel and consumables like food, fuel, and water, but pretty awesome if it did. So what do we got with trail news? Well, the Peters Mountain closure there should be opening real soon. Got word from the power company that they were finishing up the end of this week, the end of this week meaning Friday, with replacing the towers, restringing the power lines, and he says it's going to be a few days after that before they got the trail open through there. I know that area is the trail maintainers there, the Outdoor Club of Virginia Tech. They may want a few days to get in there and really go at it. I know they were doing it this weekend, had a big group plan to get in there and take care of blowdowns. I don't know what you do about widowmakers and in top of trees. I don't know if there's anything you can do about that other than just warn people. But in any case, expect that to be open toward the first of this week. Katahdin is closed, and the earliest date for the ATL on Katahdin to open in the spring is around May 15th. There have been years that it has opened as late as June, and I believe 2 years ago it may have opened like mid-June because of they were just getting too much water up there. The reason they close it is because of the alpine environment. They don't want to damage any of that, and so if it's too wet up there after the snowpack melts, or if it's raining too much, then they will close that, and they won't open it back up until conditions are just right, keep it from damaging. So folks are not really registered until end of June, so hopefully then they won't be a problem. I have met people though that got out there earlier than that and they couldn't make it to Katahdin, and I met a guy coming through the Smokies that he was from out of the country. I believe he's from Ireland, and he was not going to be able to finish his through hike because when he got to Katahdin, it was closed. He had to get on the trail, and he was not going to have enough time or money to fly back up to Katahdin to finish. So it seems like a shame not to finish that one little section right there. But in any case, just keep that in mind. David McGee down at Station 19E says that the Trail Magic from Desk has really done well. Lots of hikers being fed, and lots of hikers actually being given rooms there and not having to pay for them because so many people have contributed to that. So that's awesome to hear that that he is doing that, and that you, the hiker community out there, have really done that. And he's just more or less facilitating that. So what's happening is every hiker that comes in there gets a free all-you-can-eat breakfast. In a lot of cases, hikers are actually getting their stay, their bunk room, also paid for. So that's awesome, David. Appreciate that report. Thanks for everybody that's given to that. Please continue to do so. We have not had any reports of the norovirus breaking out this year. Didn't have any last year. That was because, or I surmise, that was because there wasn't as many people on the trail. Also, people were practicing really good sanitation because the pandemic had just really taken hold. So hopefully the same thing's going on this year. It was this year, about this time in 2019, when it really hit in Hot Springs. And Hot Springs, there were several hostels up there. They had to shut down for a few days while they completely sanitized the place up there. And so, hopefully we've learned to sanitize and are actually practicing that now a whole lot more than we have in the past. And that will make the norovirus a thing in the past. But whatever the case, just remember, it can always spring up out there. So please maintain sanitation. Don't share each other's food bags or gorp bags or drink after each other or anything like that. And the norovirus is not something you want to mess with. This graphic right here is a good indication of what happens with the norovirus. So that is not a position that you want to be in. And then the Roanoke Appalachian Trail Club, they have cleared 3 miles of blowdowns on the Paris Mountain, which is just south of Angel's Rest Hostel. So kudos to them out there for doing that. And I know there's other trail clubs that are getting out and clearing the blowdowns that are up in Virginia that happened when we had this huge ice storm that moved through that area. We've had a few bear reports. We've already talked about the Cosby Knob shelter that has been closed. And my assumption is that also means there's no tenting there. So that's a pretty safe assumption. I mean, if they're not going to let you stay in the shelter, they're not going to let you tent around there. And then there's been no other bear warnings that the Great Smoky Mountains National Park has put out on their website. So currently, Cosby Knob Shelter is the only one out there. Cosby Knob has historically has some issues with bears and typically gets shut down, although I don't recall them being shut down this soon. But bears are out there now, out of hibernation. They've had their cubs during the hibernation over the winter, and so now everybody's hungry. And then there also been multiple reports of bears stealing food there in the area of Deep Gap and Groundhog Creek Shelter, which is at mile 248 in North Carolina. So guys, just get out there and put all your food and your smellies up. You won't have to worry about bears out there, and you can enjoy your hike. Folks, that's all I've got this week. As always, appreciate you, and we'll see you out here.